Verse 12, then understood they how that he bade them not beware of the leaven of bread, but the doctrine, I repeat, the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. It is false doctrine that will get you in trouble every time. And every time you have a large meeting, you're going to have a lot of would-be teachers there. Or, God spoke to me. It just so happened it isn't our God in many cases, okay? And you'll get more junk filtered in. And the poor unlearned don't know any better than to want to handle it and unfortunately taste it. And leaven changes the whole particle that it touches. That's how leaven works. It goes through the whole loaf. And that's why some people don't like discipline. But discipline is necessary. It is very difficult to keep large groups focused on the simplicity in which Christ teaches because they do not understand the doctrine of those that would interfere with the simplicity in which Christ teaches. It'll ruin lives. It'll cause trouble. It'll turn friends against friends. And it was Satan laughing at them all the time. And they don't have any more intelligence than to say, enough. Back to the Word. I don't know, I guess people have to go through growing pains, spasms. Beware of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Beware, or as Jesus would teach in the 3rd verse of the last chapter, 15, but he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your traditions? Your doctrine transgresses God's law. Have you got any smarts, or has the leaven already quickened your little brain, your mind? For it is your mind that will deceive you and cause you to follow something that calls itself holy, and it isn't holy at all. It's a bunch of nonsense. I shudder at how quickly Satan can take a group over if they're not very careful, especially when he walked that 50 miles to Tyre, Satan's camp. Did it bother him? No. It shouldn't bother you either, because you should have the ability to remain focused in God's teachings. Well, how do I do that? By studying chapter by chapter and listening to what God says rather than some man, this man or any other man. You know, it would seem that certain people lose the ability to read. They can't follow a subject anymore. Why? Because of traditions of men. They've gone to churches, sat on pews, never cracked a Bible probably, and they listen to some one-verse revolving rev, make a whole lecture for an hour, wasted on one verse, because, you know, if he spent the whole thing actually on the verse, but he's going to get around to Aunt Maggie and Uncle John, and Lord only knows what else in that hour's time, getting his little thing all packaged up, and the people come out feeling good. You know, any person that has any experience at all in psychology knows how to make people feel good. They'll come out and say, oh, it feels so good. Well, what'd you learn? I don't know, but I feel good. Well, that won't cut it, friend, in my book, and it won't, what's most important, it won't cut it in God's book.